Top traps in home buying and how to avoid them. It's easy for our minds to trick us into buying a home that doesn't truly meet our needs. The real estate market is full of trends, tactics, and pitfalls that buyers must navigate to make a successful purchase. While some of these pitfalls, like underquoting or well-known other subtle shifts in the market, can catch buyers off guard. If you've ever made an impulse buy, you know how your brain can get fixated on something shiny and new, making it feel like a must-have. If that shiny object is just a coat you can't afford, the consequences are minor. But if it's a home, you can end up spending a lot of money on something that doesn't suit your needs. This is why it's crucial to be aware of the psychological traps that can lead to decisions that don't make sense when viewed rationally. These traps can result in buyer's remorse, which is more common than you might think. According to Zillow survey in 2022, 75% of home buyers had at least one regret about their purchase. These regrets range from misunderstanding about the amount of yard work to overlooking the location of bedrooms. Here are some common traps and how to avoid them. The first one is overconfidence. You find a home online that looks perfect and spend hours admiring the photos and virtual tour. By the time you visit in person, you're already in love, and so much so that you overlook obvious problems. The crack in the foundation, it's small. The water stain on the ceiling, probably just an old leak. You keep saying, "We can fix that, no problem," to the point where your partner starts getting concerned. If this sounds familiar, you'll fall into the overconfidence trap, being overly optimistic and downplaying the potential issues that comes with buying a home, needing more work than you can afford or handle. How to avoid this trap? Hire a good inspector who can identify significant problems in the house and provide a report of the inspection. Your real estate agent may also have a list of experts who can give you a better idea of what's involved in fixing these issues. Number 2, neglecting future needs. Imagine you're a newlywed couple buying your first home. You don't have kids or pet yet, so you focus on homes that fit your current lifestyle. In doing so, you might ignore what you'll need in the future. How to avoid this trap? Think about where you see yourself in 5 years. If you plan on having kids or getting pets, or even having relatives move in, consider these future needs now unless you're prepared to move again later. Number 3, failing to negotiate. When a home is listed for sale, the price often reflects the seller's hopes to get. As a buyer, that number is the first thing you see, and it might determine whether you'll consider the home. This is known as anchoring, where the first piece of information becomes the baselines for decision making. However, depending on the market and the time of year, there may be room to negotiate a lower price. For instance, during the fall, the market slows down, and sellers may be more willing to cut prices on homes that have been sitting on the market for a while. How to avoid this trap? Rely on your agent's local knowledge to find out if price cuts are common in your area. You might also explore whether a seller is willing to lower the price in exchange for something they value, like a rent-back agreement. Number 4, acting impulsively. In a competitive market, buyers need to act quickly to make an offer on a home they like. However, acting quickly when you're already determined your budget, priorities, and loan pre-approval is different from acting out of sheer urgency because homes are in short supply. How to avoid this trap? Prepare yourself for buying by getting your credit in order and working with your agent and loan officer to understand what you can afford and what features are most important to you. Number 5, ignoring challenging information. This is called confirmation bias, where you disregard information that doesn't align with your existing belief or place too much weight on information that confirms what you already think. For example, if you believe interest rates will drop dramatically this year and delay buying a home based on that belief, you could end up facing even higher rates. How to avoid this trap? Stay informed about market trends and listen to your agent's expertise. Even experts can't predict the market with certainty. Instead of ignoring information that challenges your belief, seek out and consider it in your decision making. Number 6, sticking to the past. Suppose you're shopping for a home and your nostalgia for your childhood home is so strong that you refuse to consider other styles. You spend hours searching for an exact replica, ignoring your partner's suggestion, or at least look at different options. How to avoid this trap? Focus on how you want to feel in your home and what can create that feeling. It might be that certain paint color, tiles, or a particular layout can recreate the nostalgia you're after. Number 7, fixating on one thing and losing sight of the big picture. Many of us get so attached to one feature that we overlook or downplay potential red flags. For example, you might fall in love with an outdoor kitchen in a home with a high maintenance yard. You hate yard work but convince yourself it won't be a big deal, only to spend every weekend mowing the lawn. Or you might be so focused on giving your kids or pets a yard to play in that you don't fully consider the long commute to work because of the location of the property. How to avoid this trap? Make a list of what you want and don't want in a home before you start shopping, and stick to it. Having a cool outdoor feature or a big yard won't suddenly make you love yard work or commuting. Number 8, pushing forward because of time and money invested. It can be disheartening to find a home, make an offer, apply for a loan, and order inspection, only to discover a flaw that can't be easily fixed. You might feel like you'll never find another home after searching for so long. How to avoid this trap? Take a step back and think about living in the home for 5, 10, or even 14 years from now. Will that flaw become a major annoyance? If it's costly to fix, consider what other things you have to give up to address it. Here are other pointers on how to avoid common real estate pitfalls. Always perform a detailed property inspection. The inspection or open house isn't just a formality, it's a crucial step for both you and the seller. This is your chance to thoroughly assess the property and make sure there are no hidden surprises later on. Don't hesitate to inspect every corner. Check for cracks, mold, water stains, and signs of corrosion. Open and close doors, and don't be afraid to look behind strategically placed furniture or plants. This is your opportunity to evaluate properties inside and out. So take your time and ask questions. The last thing you want to discover issue after you made the purchase. Carefully review all paperwork. It's tempting to skim over the fine print, whether it's assembling furniture or starting a new game. But when it comes to buying property, you can't afford to rush through the paperwork. Skipping the details can lead to serious problems down the road. Before signing any contracts, take the time to read everything thoroughly. If there's anything you don't understand, consult a lawyer or maybe talk to your real estate agent. They could help. They can clarify the details and make sure you're fully aware of your legal obligations and responsibilities. Set a firm limit for auction. Buying a property is likely one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. So it's important to stay calm, especially during an auction. Auction can be thrilling, with adrenaline running high, but it's easy to get caught up in the excitement and overspend. This can lead to significant financial stress later on. Know your budget limits and be prepared to walk away if the bidding exceeds what you can afford. Remember, there will always be other opportunities. Seek professional advice and support. While it's technically possible to buy a house without much outside help, it's not advisable. The process of purchasing a property is complex, involving legal documents and financial commitments that can be overwhelming. To avoid potential pitfalls, have a lawyer review all documents before you sign. This includes the Section 32 vendor statement. Buying a property is a major financial and legal commitment, so make sure you have a professional guiding you through the process. So what's the bottom line? Buying a home can be challenging because it requires balancing your emotions with logic. Setting clear guidelines and accessing reliable information can help you find that balance. The great thing about making decisions is that ultimately, you're the only one who knows what's right for you. Trust your instinct. If you've done your homework, ask the right questions, rely on actual facts, listen to trusted advisors, and assess the risk, you're likely on the right path to the next chapter in your life.